Hey Boujee besties, welcome to another episode of Living Boujee and Balanced, and I'm super excited. Now, I know I tell y'all I'm excited all the time, but for real, this is my friend, so I can't wait to dig all up in her business because not only is she an educator, not only does she do a lot within the community, but she also has a very impressive real estate portfolio, and she loves helping other people learn about it as well. And I wish she had some classes. I'm trying to get her to get classes, but she just likes helping. So y'all make sure you tune into this episode where we're going to dig into some strategy around being an entrepreneur and some strategy around real estate.
Didn't know what was going to happen, but thank God I'm still here. I was terrified.
Feel me? I know.
Dr. Tyrone Butler.
When you say, like, you had like a hard...
So Amber, thank you for coming, friend.
Thank you, friend. I'm excited to be here.
Yes.
A lot of progress made in your office.
Thank you. You see it?
Yeah, it looks so cute. I love it.
Thank you, me and my fake flowers. Okay, so Amber, I know your beginnings, right? But they don't know your beginnings. So can you please tell the people a little bit about your journey to where you are now? Because it's very humble beginnings.
It is very, very humble. So basically, my name is Emberly, and I like to refer to myself these days as a socio-economic activist.
I love that.
Right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of the work that I do involves me partnering with platforms like yours, right? Nonprofit organizations, working with schools, and actually leveraging the resources I can get from my friends, my rich friends. My rich and fun, popular friends, and the nonprofits that primarily exist in these low-income communities, and really bringing this stuff to them, right? And exposing them to the information that can help them change the trajectory of their future. The reason why my heart aligns with this work is because, like you stated earlier, I do come from very humble beginnings, right? And I'm not even going to talk about my childhood or what have you. I'll just talk about just my personal experience at the age of 19,
Absolutely.
in which I experienced homelessness. And during that time, I was actually, I'm originally from Dallas, Texas. I was accepted to Spelman College, so shout out to my Spelman sisters. All right. And went to Spelman the first year, freshman year, and so forth. Couldn't afford to pay the tuition. I didn't want to go back home. I didn't like my home environment and so forth. And my mother, she was like, you should come back home. And I was like, no, because I knew that wasn't the soil that I needed to be, that I needed to be in order for me to be right. Yeah. And so I elected to stay in Atlanta, and I had to get how I live. I was homeless. I stayed. I would lie to my friends who were still in school and say, "Hey, can I stay here? Can I do this or what have you?"
Yeah.
At that time, I was able to. I had an apartment. I got evicted from because I didn't have any money to pay for my rent.
Wait, I'm sorry. Hold on. You got evicted from an apartment and still built the real estate portfolio that you have today?
Absolutely. Yep.
Wow.
Definitely.
I think some people were just like, wait a minute, you can do that because to say you went from being homeless, being evicted from your apartment, where did you sleep?
Girl, I would sleep at the Atlanta Hartsfield Airport. It's not so right now it's all fancy and so forth, but back in the day, they had like little restaurant areas, and like they still have like the little waiting area in the middle by the food court. I remember, I don't know if Wendy's is still there, but at that time when I was there, it was like Wendy's, and I would just sleep on a bench, chairs and so forth, and then sneak onto the MARTA, right, and just travel back and forth. And one particular day, because I didn't look like what I was going through, I was actually, I was looking for a job, and I happened to just be walking through, not even looking for a job in Atlanta Hartsfield Airport, but I happened to just be walking through, and someone was like, "Hey, you know what? You look appropriate." And it was funny because I'm homeless.
But you look good.
You look appropriate. So that just said, you know, a lot about like how people were, you know, coming in looking for jobs, how they were presenting themselves. And he was like, have you considered being a waitress? And I had, you know, done that type of work before. And eventually I ended up, you know, starting a job as a waitress at the airport. But let me tell you, the sad part about it is that I was so broke. They had a uniform requirement. And I was so broke that I could not afford to buy the shirt.
Wow.
I was so broke that I couldn't afford to buy the shirt, and I had to borrow a black shirt from my best friend, who you're going to have on your podcast later. I had to borrow a shirt, and there was this one experience that particularly stood out to me when I was working as a waitress. The first couple of weeks, if anybody ever worked as a waitress before, usually you're being trained and you can't take any tips.
Yeah.
But I did such a great job with this one table that the guy left a $20 tip. Now, mind you, prior to that, I didn't know where my next meal was going to come from, right? Was sleeping from pillow to post, right? Was like, even when it came to taking showers, like that's how greedy. Like when I tell people that, I don't even go into, you're probably like just hearing some of this stuff now, right? Because we've been on several platforms and I don't go into details, but even I couldn't afford soap, right? So taking showers with like dishwashing liquid, going days without taking showers and so forth. Like that's how much of a struggle I was going through. Not being able to brush my teeth. Like I had to, when I finally ended up just being able to take care of myself and so forth, like I actually went to the dentist and had to receive treatments and so forth or whatnot as a result of me not being able to like really take care of myself for like around 6 to 8 months.
Wow.
And so got the job, guy left a $20 tip. The person who was training me, I never forget, because I was excited, and she just snatched it. And I was like, she just, girl, in
that moment, I need some soap. I'm coming for you. On sight. No, she did.
She did. And I just went to the back and I cried, like and I just had to suck it up. You know, I was like, Amber, you have about 1 more week of training. And I don't know, maybe I should have asked. I think I did ask, and she was like, no. But I didn't tell her what my experience was,
and what you were going through.
And what I was going through. But fast forward, because she was someone who I like could not stand. But towards the end, when I was able to get myself back into school, she let me take on her shift so that I can finish paying my tuition and graduate. So shout out to that person.
That's awesome. Look what your seed sowed. That's so beautiful. And so you graduated, you became an educator.
Yep.
15 years in.
15 years in, yes.
And you were able to work in some of the most socio-economic disadvantaged neighborhoods.
Absolutely.
Right? In school system. So tell us about that.
So I lost count because I've been in education for at least 15 years, or probably even more than that. So I started as soon as I graduated from college. And so I've worked in New York City. New York City is the largest school district in the United States. But I served in certain areas that is more economically disadvantaged in comparison to others. And that includes the South Bronx, East New York. And I've worked in Harlem at the time, where it was like really challenging. Harlem has changed significantly since I've served in that community. And then I spent a year in Paterson, New Jersey. And now I'm serving as an instructional coach in Detroit.
Yes, shout out to Detroit, because there's some major things that are getting ready to transpire.
Yes.
And I can't wait to be a part of it. Yay! I can't wait to watch, volunteer, go wherever you need, let me know. I'll put on my Ratchet Assets t-shirt and get to it. But I'm just really proud of you, to be able, I've known you for 3 years now. We met on Clubhouse. I feel like I meet some of the best people on Clubhouse.
Yeah.
I think we're supposed to stay off the internet.
Yeah.
I know my mama told me to stay off the internet, but some of my best best friends are coming from Clubhouse.
Yeah.
You know why? Because I think by the time I was on Clubhouse, I knew the type of friends I wanted.
Yep.
You know, and so I was able to cultivate those relationships. And so when you guys reached out to me and asked me to come speak at the event where I actually physically met you, girl's been getting ratchet and bougie and saying bougie and ratchet ever since. So, okay, so now you've you know, you've got to the point to where you're able to teach the teachers on how to help these babies. And even while being an educator, you said, you know what, I still want more.
Absolutely.
So real estate came into the picture. How did this happen?
So before I jumped into real estate, entrepreneurship came into the picture, right? Because as you know, teachers are some of the lowest perform, and not lowest perform, but they're lowest paid.
And I don't know why. I have no idea why. I feel like this should be I feel like educators should be one of the highest paid professions because you literally deal with our children probably more than most adults deal with their children. And personal opinion, I feel like when teachers are paid to their value, that they'll be able to be more effective in the classroom.
Absolutely.
And so, can y'all do something about that? Whoever's out there in control of this,
I have to give
board of educators.
I have to give a shout out to two people who are right now currently doing something about it. Give a shout out to Dr. Travis Brown, of Pharaoh's Academy. And his school is located in the South Bronx.
Teach Jam.
Yes. That's coming up. Absolutely.
Yes. If you're watching, I'm still going to do it. Teach Jam. Whatever current event that y'all have on this post, it's going to be in the description box. So if you're an educator, you should look at attending or letting your principal know for sure.
Absolutely. Because he's doing it in terms of, he founded a school in the South Bronx, and when I started at his school, I was paid my worth. Even when I said you don't have to pay me my worth, I was paid my worth. So shout out to Dr. Brown.
Shout out to Dr. Brown. That's awesome.
And I want to give a shout out to my husband, who actually, he's a principal in Detroit. And he went without an assistant principal so that he can he advocated to pay his teachers more. And basically the teachers come in, they start at a higher salary if they're certified. So I want to give a shout out to both of them. They're doing
awesome. Yeah, and man, thank you. I'm serious because I have 3 daughters and I know how stressed out I am when they come home. So I can't even imagine how, what the educators go through. So I'm really glad that there's advocates out there doing that.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. So you are still in that field, but you went into real estate. So
I did.
So how did this happen with real estate?
With real estate, I started my journey as an entrepreneur. I launched the hair salon. And then in that journey, it's going to be really quick story. I realized that I don't want to manage people who could talk back, right? It was so challenging for me. You know, I did make money and stuff, right? And I learned a lot about myself, but I was like, I need to get into something that doesn't, require as much of my time. Because remember, and I shared the story with you before, when I had that salon, I was still working full time.
Yeah.
And whatever else I had going on at the schools, because as a teacher, you never just teach, or you're doing other stuff, right? So I'm still working full time as an educator, as an instructional coach, while working my hair salon business, which I opened in Harlem, an affordable hair salon.
So you were working 9 to 5 and then doing the 5 to 9.
Absolutely.
No excuses.
No,
And I remember you sharing with me that, you had a personal goal of saying, when I get off of work, I am personally going to make sure that my flyer touches 100 hands. And so, girl, I don't even know what time you would wake up to start your day, but I could only imagine. I've helped Amber with a couple of things, and I'm like, Amber, go to sleep. Amber, did you eat? Girl, go to sleep, because she's that much of a go-getter. And it was my first time meeting somebody with almost like sometimes, I don't know. It was my first time meeting someone with the same amount of ambition and drive as me. And now I'd be like, that's what people talk about? Because I could see it in you, and I never saw it before. And I was like, man, listen, I'm gonna have to knock this girl out for her to get some rest.
She was. That was me, because I was like, I have to, I wasn't making that much. So, and then the salon, the space was more than my checks combined together. So it was like, I have to get, clients to come in. I would go to the beauty supply and like pull people out and say, where are you going to get your hair done at? That's how can you see me doing that though?
Yeah,
like
I can though. I can. And the thing is that hustle, that grind, that mentality, it never went away. It just became new goals, new levels.
Yep.
And so now you have a very impressive real estate portfolio, multiple properties. I know that I've saw 5 of them, 6.
You saw 6. And
I saw
sold
6
one.
properties. She sold one, and then little Miss Go Getter went over here and acquired a whole nother property. Now I have to go take a trip so I can be the only one to have seen all of them. But I've been there. She's validated, certified, proof stamped, all of it, y'all. Her properties, she's doing the thing. So tell me, like, what are your goals with real estate?
You know what?
You never thought about that?
Today's episode is sponsored to you by Mastering Your Money Mindset, a self-discovery book written by the BOUJEE banker to help you gain control over your money. Click the link below and get your copy today.
What stood out the most to me about this book was how your triggers really affect your emotional spending, on how you spend on a daily basis, when you're upset, when you're happy, and really getting to the root cause of where your emotional triggers come from, and making sure you set those boundaries. And that was another big thing that stood out to me, was the boundaries. If you don't have boundaries and hold yourself accountable to them, you'll just be right back at square one again. I would definitely recommend this to other people because it helps you to really ask those questions within self and not have to say it out loud to somebody. It allows you to sit down and take the time to write down each questions and take your time to really think about it, because some questions are heavily deeper than others, and it causes an emotional thing when it comes, but it helps you to grow and to be a bigger person and to get to that money management.
Now let's get back to our interview with Emberly of Ratchet Assets.
What are your goals with real estate?
You know what?
You never thought about that?
I have, and I realized that I have to dream bigger, right? And so you know what? If I can be honest, and this is quite an ambitious goal, but I think I'm going to see a little bit of it this year before the year ends, right?
Yes.
My ultimate goal is to be able to basically have my own community.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know where that community will be, but I do see myself kind of just getting my toes wet, right? Because you know that I have, you saw this property that that I'm currently renovating, and then there's a lot right there. Then I own the property next to it.
Real life monopoly,
right?
Yeah.
And so, it's funny because I bought that property from the land bank, and it's taken me over a year to just get it into compliance. And so Friday they just came in to do a final inspection, and hopefully, it's done. It's done.
It's out there. It's done. Yes.
But the cool part about it is that once it gets into compliance, that lot that sits right next to that house, I will be able to purchase it for $100.
Yes.
And
that's crazy. $100.
$100, you all.
This is something that a lot of people don't think about. And I've been like, Amber, you could do what? You could buy a property for $100, like a lot for $100. So there's this thing with the land bank, and Amber's very transparent in her journey. She lets you know that it's not as easy as what people try to make it seem to be. But, if you have the time, if you have the money, the resources, Tell us about that. Like, tell us about that system. I know it's land bank.
Yes, land bank, So, Detroit has, I don't even know if I want to give them a shout out or not. I don't know how I feel about the land bank yet, but, I'm going to do it. You better approve my stuff. So Detroit has basically a program where because if you know the history of Detroit, it's been through a lot. There's a lot of rich history there, but there's a lot of abandoned homes. There was a lot of riots, and so a lot of the homes have fire damage. There's a lot of vacant properties and so forth. You might be on a property that consists of people that resides in every single house, and then you go to the next street, and then there's no one there, right? And so to combat that, and at one point, the city of Detroit went through bankruptcy.
I didn't know that. Wow.
And what it kind of just drove me there is the fact that my husband and I, we have a passion for working with people of our own race, right? Black students, and there's a very, very high population of Black individuals that currently reside in Detroit. Yet, if you go to Detroit and you go to certain parts, it's like something you've never seen. I mean, you went to my house,
yeah.
And so the land bank to combat, poverty, and to combat, these homes being vacant, because with these homes being vacant, you see a lot of criminal activity that takes place. I'll give you an example of a time where I literally pulled up to my house and then I witnessed a dead body being pulled out of the house across the street from, literally I could see it from my house, being pulled out of the house as a result of a drug overdose, wow. Right? And then the following, literally no more than 2 weeks, mass shooting took place. Wow. And so right now the city is putting a lot of systems in place to kind of just rebuild. Detroit is going through a renaissance right now. Yeah. And so you can go to DetroitLandBank.org. I believe that's the name of it. Mm-hmm. And it's a very, very simple, they probably have the best system for bidding on a home in comparison to any other land bank that I've been to online in the United States. They have all these pictures. It's very vivid. You know what you're getting yourself into. I've seen it. I've gone to the website.
Yeah. I'm working on getting my properties out there. Amber really is inspiring me to get into real estate. That's been a fear for me. Y'all know I'm big on investing into stocks, right? Mm-hmm. I'm really big on that digital entrepreneurship. But when I really got around Amber and she hangs around other real estate, her friend's a real estate friend. And so I was like, I need to step my game up. This is a different playing field. This is a different level of investing. So I'm really excited to get my feet wet. Amber owes me a property, by the way. I do. I want to put that out there. I want to put that out there. So if y'all see me get a birthday gift and it's a house, just know my friend bought it. Unless I get it first. But so now you have all these properties and you are, definitely an advocate for change. Absolutely. I would say that for sure. So, I have Living Boujee and Balance. Yes. And you have created this brand called Ratchet Assets. And we really are like the yin and yang of brands. So can you please let us know what inspired you to do Ratchet Assets and what do you do with Ratchet Assets?
Oh man. What inspired me was, so I have not always been as confident as I am. And I used to have a lot of insecurities. And then I found myself not being my true authentic self in front of people just to fit in. Right. And that will bother me a lot. I think one time I just broke down and I had to go see a therapist as a result of me kind of just being overwhelmed with not being able to live in being okay with who I am. Yeah. Right. And I went through this journey about almost 10 years ago where I went to this one therapist and she was just like, Amber, you're perfect who you are. Absolutely. Right. You don't need to seek validation from anyone.
There's something wrong with the people who see something wrong with you because you're a dope person.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And you're growing every day.
Yes. I'm not perfect. Lord knows I'm growing, but that was definitely a journey. And I'm still on that journey, right? But after a while, I became more confident with who I am, and I saw the type of impact that I was making within, just in my family, in the schools I was serving, and just my friendships and so forth. And I didn't have to be anyone but myself to make those types of impact, significant impact. Yeah. And I started Ratchet Assets because it's kind of, I don't know what the English word is, but
Ratchet Assets.
But it's to kind of put this idea that you don't have to follow the status quo, right, in order for you to achieve the goals that you might have set forward to yourself. Because my journey is a very unconventional journey, right? And then the other thing is that I've had friends who grew up, the way that the media kind of glorify, in a 2-parent home, both of their real parents, no drama, and going to college, their parents pay for their college and they get to pledge and so forth, right? And that just wasn't me.
Yeah.
You know, like I didn't know my real father. He's an alcoholic. I grew up with my stepfather and just never connected with him and so forth. Then my relation with my mother became estranged, and then I had to pay for my own college, right?
Yeah.
So there was a lot of things that I had to do that was unconventional.
Yeah.
And I thought that I wasn't good enough because I didn't have the same resources that maybe my peers had, or, you know, even as an adult, I just saw how they, you know, my colleagues were navigating life, and I just didn't have those things. Yeah. And so that once I recognized my value, I realized like, hey, you know, I'm perfect being not perfect, right? Being ratchet, right? And that's what made me come up with the brand Ratchet Assets. And it's just promoting, you know, just leveraging the resources that you have, digging deeper in yourself and identifying the gifts that God has given you, and figuring out a way to leverage that to achieve whatever goals you have for yourself.
Absolutely. And you do a lot of things in the community. You bring your friends out to things in the community. And so, you know, can you provide like an example or an experience of when Ratchet Assets has collaborated with a nonprofit organization in Detroit or New York? And what are some ways that you equipped the communities with the necessary tools to navigate their personal finances and struggles?
Yes. You know, it's funny. You've been a part of that journey.
I know. I have, guys.
You've been a part of that journey.
Yeah, it was dope.
We have collaborated with CCD. It's a big nonprofit organization in New York, and they address violence in some of the hardest hit areas in New York City. Brooklyn, I believe Queens. I believe they have like 5 locations, and that nonprofit organization is owned by Kay Bain. And I was able to just leverage my relationships with my cool friends. And it was really a cool thing to see, because nobody hesitated. Like everyone was like, Amber, I'll do it. Dope. Like I'll be out there. And like people flew from everywhere. Like shout out to Christopher Scott. Right?
Shanisha,
yes. Like people flew out from Kathy Gray, you know, the BOUJEE banker. Everyone flew out from everyone. I was like, listen, I can't pay y'all, but you know, we're gonna have fun.
We're gonna create an impact.
We're gonna create an impact. Absolutely. And you know, everyone came out, and we equipped them with, you know, different resources that was needed in order for them to, you know, just see financial literacy different. Yeah. And then the other collaboration I've done was with my husband, which was at his school, Distinctive Schools, and we were able to do a workshop around credit. I don't remember if I talked about real estate as much, but I think I focused more on credit. You did money management. And my good friend Kathy, she focused on, you know, entrepreneurship and so forth. So it was really cool.
Shanisha, Changing Lives, she focused on like leaving a legacy and what that looks like, and like how you can pass down wealth, even though there may be ways that weren't taught to us. It's a little bit easier than we might think it is to pass down wealth. So I love that was shared. She's very like, she's so cool. I love her. Like this what we need to do. So you know, and that wasn't absolutely. And it wasn't the only time you've done that. And every time, what I love about you is every time you have something going on with an event that maybe you're speaking at, you always look at, okay, how many days am I going to be in such and such city? And what can I do for that community when I'm in that city? That is what I admire about you most. I would definitely say that because, you know, there's things I do with my kids where we might go and say, you know what, let's go feed some people. And so we'll go grab some stuff, make hot dogs, make little baggies, put little inspirational quotes on them, and then we'll just go pass them out. We don't record it or anything like that, but it's just to do something to help other people. And it is in this space, and being an entrepreneur, especially in Atlanta, what I tend to find is that people just want to collaborate and work with each other to level each other up. But then it's like, what's the impact you're creating? Where are you reaching back? How are you helping other people? And so like, when I tell you that, like that for me, I was like, dang, Amber has like a really big heart. I want to be a part of that. So every time Amber has something going on, I'm like, let me know how I can support. I'm pulling up. What we doing? Like, because it's just genuine to her personality to want to help others. And so, you know, Ratchet Assets is going to do some major things things.
Thank you.
Amber Lachey is going to do some amazing things. And I have one more question for you. Mm-hmm. So you've been able to look at life in the face of adversity, make a decision, stand on that decision, and significantly change not only your life, but as a result of changing your life, change other people's lives.
Absolutely.
So my question for you is, what advice would you give individuals who are facing financial barriers or seeking to improve their financial well-being?
Man, you know what? I think sometimes when we're in a situation, like you experience shame. Yeah. And what has helped me out a lot was there's times where I will just ask, like they say there's this quote this popular quote called where people say closed mouths don't get fed. Yep, right?
I was thinking it the whole time.
Closed mouths do not get fed. So if you're experiencing something and normally there's someone in your circle or someone, right? Who actually have an answer to the struggles that you're going through, but you might be just too prideful to ask. Reach out and ask for help. Absolutely. But then the other thing is, if you're too prideful to ask for help, there are free resources out there. Go pick up a book. I know I didn't know anyone who really had good credit. And so when years ago, I think my credit was in like the 500s, and I just saw how that was really posing as a barrier for me to really accomplish the goals I wanted to accomplish. So I read this book called Debt Cure, and I started just implementing the stuff that was in that book, and I was able to bring my credit up from a 500 to a 700 simply, As a matter of fact, my husband did have good credit, but it wasn't because he didn't have to start off with bad credit. So at that point, he did tell me, like, these are the things you need to do to maintain a good credit score, right? Yeah. But sometimes the answer is right in front of you, right? And also understanding that the situation that you're in is temporary. Yeah. More than likely, there's a solution to the problem and resources available that can help you, like, go step by step to get to where you're trying to go.
Thank you for sharing that. So, Amber, I love spending time with you today. I know that when somebody watches, going to be like, wow, I can see a different future for myself because I'm learning from somebody who's gone through it. You shared some very transparent things, and you kept it a buck, and you kept it 100.
That's all I know how to do.
So y'all, please be sure to connect with Amber. Now, before I let you go, we have to play a game.
I knew it. I was like, I'm nervous.
It's not going to be bad.
It's a BOUJEE shade.
No, it's not bad. I promise. Okay, so the game is called Would You Rather.
Okay, that's good. Okay.
So you got to answer it fast, though. Quick.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. If you don't, you got to give me $10,000 in my property. All right. Are you ready?
Yes.
3, 2, 1. Okay. Would you rather invest in commercial real estate or residential? Go!
Residential.
Okay. Would you rather teach a financial literacy course to high school students or adults?
High school.
Okay. Would you rather own a successful real estate brokerage or a successful online financial education platform?
A successful online financial education platform.
Would you rather own Would you rather have a degree in finance or a degree in real estate?
A degree in finance.
Would you rather flip houses for profit or invest in rental properties for passive income?
Invest in rental properties for passive income.
Would you rather have a large emergency fund or a diversified investment portfolio?
Diversified investment portfolio.
Would you rather mentor a group of aspiring real estate investors or a group of aspiring entrepreneurs?
A group of aspiring entrepreneurs.
Would you rather have a mortgage-free home or a fully funded retirement account?
A mortgage-free home.
Would you rather start a scholarship program for underprivileged students or a community development project for affordable housing?
A program for underprivileged students.
Would you rather be recognized for your contributions to financial literacy or your impact on real estate development?
Real estate development.
Okay, thank you. So that wasn't bad.
Yeah, it wasn't bad at all.
Now the last one. Would you rather be ratchet or bougie?
Ratchet.
That is it, friend. Please let everybody
Thank you
know
for having
where
me.
they can find you on social media.
And you know I gotta spell it. Y'all can
That's why
find
she
me-
don't have enough followers, because y'all not spelling it
y'all
right.
not spelling it right. You know what I'm saying? Y'all can find me on Instagram and Facebook right now, TikTok, Twitter. Same name, same handle. Ratchet Assets. RATCHET Thank you for having me. It's your girl, Emberly. Thank you, Raquel.
You're welcome. Y'all check the description box below for all of her social site links, as well as some of the resources that she mentioned today. So, friend, thank you. Bye, besties. Till next time. Girl.
That was good.
You need to have a song that spells
I know that spell. I was
RATCHET. Ratchet Assets. Ratchet Assets. Hey, hey,
hey.
Yes, you should do that. So
I
that it
am.
can spell right. I just want my 3%.
That's why I ain't got that many
it's on record. I
followers.
want my 3%.
That's why I ain't got that many followers.
Yeah, say it in the
Is that in
background.
the back end, right?
Y'all not spelling it right. That was good, friend.
Thank you. This is so great. I'm so proud of you, Raquel. Seriously.
Thank you.
She did that. Like, for real.
Didn't know what was going to happen, but thank God I'm still here. I was terrified.
Feel me. I know.
Dr. Tyrone Butler.
When you said, like, you had like a hard.
Didn't know what was going to happen, but thank God I'm still